Tridaninam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Padabjaditaika Hridi Chaitanya Lilamita Sarasaram Naranta Satatam Prapadye Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishikeshava Priyatmane Shishima Bhakti Vedanta Vamaniti Namine Gora Bhava Mayodeka Ujvala Rasa Bhavakaha Bhakti Vedanta Vamanoraga Bhakti Pravartaka Guru Damnicha Seva Su Vaishnave Sarvadamati Grante Bhagavate Sakshat Goswami Vedante Rati Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Vishnu Padaya Acharya Singha Rupine Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Iti Namine Atimata Charitra Svashitanam Chaparine Jiva Duke Sadartaya Shinama Premadaine Goraksha Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaika Charine Rupanuga Pravaraya Vinodeti Sarupine Prabhupadantarangaya Sarvasatguna Shaline Mayavadata Mognaya Vedantarta Vade Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shivarshabhana Videvi Daitaya Kripavdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurajvala Premadya Shirupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murte Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruda Prasidanta Dvantakarine Mama Gora Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Padam Bhujayate Namaha Nama Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gora Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Vibhava Bhumistvam Nidashta Sajana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarabhama Shri Jaganataya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Bhagavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jatan Surato Pangor Mama Manda Matergati Matsarasa Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Shrimad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Shrimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Preshtalibi Sevyamano Smarami Shrimarasarasanam Bivam Shivata Tatastitaha Kanshavenusanai Gopir Gopinata Shiestunaha Vrinda Tulasi Devi Ai Priye Keshavasacha Krishna Bhakti Pratidevi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Can you please sing Guru and Guru Parampara songs? I'm still learning. I will accompany you. Oh, there is another device.
I don't know. Voice probably. It's okay. Page 23 if anyone is on the live stream. Krishna Hoita Chaturmukha Hoya Krishna Sevan Mukha Rama Hoita व्यासदासा पूर्णप्रज्ञान परमना भगते नृहरिमरावहंसे क्षोभ्य परमहंसे शिष्यं बोले अंगीकारकरे अक्षोभ्येर शिष्याजय तेतनामे परिचय तरदस्य ज्ञानसिन्धुतारे तह हईते दयानिधि तरदास विद्यानिधि राजेन्द्र हईल ताहते ताहारा किंकर जय धर्म नामे परिचय परंपरा जन माते जय धर्म दस्य ख्याति श्री पुरुषोत्तम ज्योति तहते ब्रह्मण्य तीर्थसूरि व्यासते ततारा दास लक्ष्मीपति व्यासदास तहते मरवेन्द्रपुरी वर शिष्य वर शिष्यर नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत विभो ईश्वरपुरी के धन्य करेलेन श्री चैतन्य जगत गुरु गौर महाप्रभु श्री चैतन्य राधा कृष्ण न है अन्य रूपानुग जनेर जीवन विश्वम्भर प्रियंकर श्री स्वरूप दामोदर श्री गोस्वामी रूप सनातन प्रिय महाजन जीवर गुणतहन तर प्रिय कवे कृष्णदास प्रिय वर नरोत्तम सेवा पर जर पर विश्वनाथयाश विश्वनाथ भक्त सत बलदेव जगन्नाथ तर प्रिय श्री भक्ति विनोद महाभगवत वर श्री गौर किशोर वर तेजर मोदा श्री वर्षभन विवर सदा सेव्य सेवा पर तहर दैत्य दस नाम प्रभु पर अंतरंग श्री स्वरूप रूपानुग श्री केशव भक्ति प्रज्ञान गौरीय वेदांत वेता मायावाद तमोहंत गौरवाणी प्रचर धाम प्रचरिला गौरवाणी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी पुराइलो प्रभु पर काम केशव प्रिय महाजन वामनारायण हन गौरवाणी तदे प्राणधान हे सब हरिजन गौरंगेर निज जन तदराचिस्त मोर काम गुरु परम्पराम गुरु परम्पराम परम्पराम गुरु परम्पराम Page 36. वृंदावनवासी जत वैष्णवेरा गान प्रथमे वंदना करे सबर चरण नीलाचलवासी जात महाप्रभु गान भूमिते पदिया वंदो सबर चरण नवद्वीप Jatu Mahaprabhu Bhakta Sabhara Charana Bando Haya Anurakta Mahaprabhu Bhakta Jato Koratase Stite Sabhara Charana Bando Korea Pranati Jedeshe Jedeshe Baise Gorangera Purvabahu Gauri Bando Savaracharana Hayachena Hoy Bena Prabhu Jata Dasa Savaracharana Bando Dante Kori Ghasha Brahmandattarite Shakti Dhare Jane Jane Ye Veda Purane Guna Kaya Jeva Shune Mahaprabhu Gana Sabapati Tapavana Tailave Moe Papilo Inu Sharana Vandana Karite Moe Kata Shakti Dhari Dhamma Buddhi Dashe Moe Dhamba Matra Kari Tathapi Mukhera Bhagya Manera Ulasha Dasak Sami Moa Dhame Karani Jadasa Sarva Vancha Siddhi Hoy Yama Bhanda Chute Jagate Dhulava Hoya Prema Dhana Lute Manera Vasana Purna Achirate Hoya Devaki Nandana Dasa Hela Bhekaya Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur. You wanna do 200? Sharanagati? You want to sing this one? That's what I've heard. For morning at least, but I don't know. We can ask Shamrani Didi.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Doya Kori Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Doya Kori Swaparshada Sriya Dhama Saha Avatari Swaparshada Sriya Dhama Atyanta Durlava Prema Kori Baredana Atyanta Durlava Prema Kori Baredana Shikaya Sharanagati Pakatera Prana Shikaya Sharanagati Dainya Atmani Vedano Gopitritve Varana Dainya Atmavivedana Goptritve Varana Avasharaki Shive Krishna Vishvasapalana Avasharaki Shive Krishna Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyero Svikara Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyero Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhavo Vajranangikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhavo Vajranangikara Sadanga Sharanagati Hoi Bejahara Sadanga Sharanagati Hoi Bejahara Tahara Prarthana Sune Shinanda Kumara Tahara Prarthana Sune Shinanda Kumara Rupa Sanatana Pade Dante Trinakori Rupa Sanatana Pade Dante Trinakori Vakati Vinoda Pade Dukhu Padadori Vakati Vinoda Pade Kadiya kadiya bole amito adama Kadiya kadiya bole amito adama Shikaya sharanagati korohe utama Shikaya sharanagati Shikaye sharanagati koroke utama Shikaye sharanagati koroke utama Jayo nitai gorango nitai gorango nitai gorango Jayo nitai gorango gorango nitai gorango nitai gorango Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. 58. It's tinta. It's not tunta. I will make something, but you don't just get confused. Not. Nitai paduka malam Koti Chandro Sushitala Nitai Pado Kamala Koti Chandro Sushitala Je Jaya Yo Jagat Judai Je Jaya Jagat Judai Heronitai Binebai Radha Krishna Paitenai Heronitai Binebai Radha Krishna Paitenai Drido Koritaro Nitai Pai Drido Koritaro Nitai Pai Se Sambandana Hijar Prita Janma Gelota Se Sambandana Hijar Prita Janma Gelota Se Pashu Bado Duracha Se Pashu Bado Duracha Nitai na bolilo muke Majilo samsara suke Nitai na bolilo muke Majilo samsara suke Vidya kule kikori betar Vidya kule kikori betar Ahangari mata hoya Nitai pada pasaria Ahangari mata hoya Nitai pada pasaria Asatire satya korimani Asatire satya korimani Nitayir karuna habib Vraje Radha Krishna Pabe Nitayir karuna habib Vraje Radha Krishna Pabe Dharanitai Charano Dukani Dharanitai Charano Dinigaka Nitayir Charana Satyata Karasavaka Nitya Nitai pada sadakarosh Nitai pada sadakarosh Narotamo bodo duki Nitai more kano suki Narotamo bodo Raka ranga taro nero vash Nitai e ranga pana Rako ranga charo nero pash Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Nitai Gaur. Shri Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai. mentioned in Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu the Koromar? Mhm. You want some? Mhm. You look at that? Mhm.
Reboot. Korapahu Nabajaya Mahainu Nabajaya Mahainu Hemaratana Dana Helaya Harainu Hemaratana Dana Helaya Harainu Adane Jatana Kori Danate Aginu Adane Jatana Kori Danate Aginu Apana Kadam Doshe Apani Dubinu Satsanga Chadi Koinu Sate Vilash Te karane lagino ye kama banda pash Vishaya Vishama Visha Satatakainu Gora Kirtara Se Magana Nahainu Keno Vachae Prana Kisuka Paiya Narottama Das Keno Nagero Maria Gora Pahuna Bajia Manu Premaratandana Helaya Harainu Premaratandana Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai Gora Nitai Jaya Gora Nitai. By not worshipping my Lord Gaurasundar, I have invited death. And by neglecting the precious jewel of prema, I have lost it. Attending to worthless trifles, I have thrown away my real wealth. I have drowned myself in misdeeds. Forsaking the association of devotees, I have sported with non-devotees. For this reason, I am being choked by the snare of my actions. I have constantly drunk the deadly poison of material sense enjoyment, and thus I have not become absorbed in the nectarian mellows rus of Gaur Kirtan. For what happiness does this life continue? Why doesn't Narottam Das simply die?
So I found this from Gloria Kirtan by Prem Das.
Saptadipta kore Shobhe Navadipa pure Saptadipta kore Shobhe Navadipa pure Jahe Vishwa Jahe Vishwambara Devaraja Tahe Tara Bhakta Jata Tahate Srivasa Khyata Tahe Tara Bhakta Jata Tahate Srivasa Khyata Shri Krishna Kirtana Jara Kaja Shri Krishna Kirtana Jara Kaja Jaya Jaya Thakur Pandita सतत कीर्तन रंगे गौर गौर भक्त संगे आहर निशि प्रेम मत होया आहर निशि प्रेम मत होया जार भार्य श्रीमालिनी पतिव्रता शिरोमणि जार भार्य श्रीमालिनी पतिव्रता शिरोमणि जारे प्रभु कहे जनानी हजारे प्रभु कहे जनानी नित्यानंद रहे घरे पुत्र समा स्नेह करे नित्यानंद रहे घरे पुत्र समा स्नेह करे स्तन झरे नेत्रे बहे पानी स्तन झरे नेत्रे बहे पानी कभुवा ईश्वर ज्ञाने नाति करे श्री चरणे कभुवा ईश्वर ज्ञाने नाति करे श्री चरणे कभु कोले करे लालन कभु कोले करे लालन प्रभुर नेत्र भंगी लागे मृत पुत्र शोक त्यागी प्रभुर नेत्र भंग लागे अमृत पुत्र शोक त्यागी शुनि प्रभु करये रोदन अशुनि प्रभु करये रोदन भ्रातृसुत नारायणी वैष्णव मंडले ध्वनि भ्रातृसुत नारायणी वैष्णव मंडले ध्वनि जार पुत्र वृंदावन दास हजार पुत्र वृंदावन दास वर्णीयश्चैतन्य लीला त्रिभुवन उधारिला वर्णीयचैतन्य लीला त्रिभुवन उधारिला प्रेमदास करे जारया प्रेमदास करे
Due to the presence of that king among the gods, Sri Vishwambar. There, in the midst of Sri Vishwambar's bhaktas, is the renowned Srivasa Pandit, whose life's mission is Sri Krishna Kirtan.
All glories to Pandit Thakur. By a check of his mercy, one can become a recipient of Gauda Prem. All of his pastimes are matchless.
Exclusively fixed in the seva of Gauranga, he does not know any demigod or goddess. Along with his 4 brothers, servants, and maidservants, he always performs kirtan in various ways, day and night, with Gauranga and his devotees intoxicated by prem.
His wife, Shimalini Devi, whom Mahaprabhu calls mother, is the crown jewel of all chaste women. Nityananda Prabhu resides in their house, and she loves him as her own son. When she sees Nityananda Prabhu, milk flows from her breasts and tears fall from her eyes.
Sometimes, knowing Mahaprabhu to be the Supreme Lord, Srivasa Pandit bows down at his lotus feet, but sometimes he takes him on his lap to nourish him. In order to not interrupt the ecstatic dance of Mahaprabhu, he renounced any expression of sorrow at the death of his son. Hearing of this, the Lord wept.
Srivas Pandit's niece, Narayani, was the voice of the Vaishnava assembly. Her son Sri Vrindavandas described Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas and thus delivered the 3 worlds. It is in him, Srivas Pandit, that Prem Das keeps his hopes and aspirations.
You'll do Jai Jai Radha Mamantra. I'll do Krishna Deva Vanta Vande. Okay. 343. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Oh, Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Man manasa madhukaram arpaya nija pada pankaja makarande. O Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Yadyapi samadhishu vidirapi pashyati natavanaka gramarichim. Idami chamini shamyatava chuta tarapi kripad bhuta vichim. O Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Bhakti Rudan Chati Adyapi Madhava Natwai Mamatila Machi. Parameshwara Tatara Pitavadika Durgata Gatana Virachi. Virachi. O Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. O Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Ayam Avilo Lataya Jasanatana Kalitad Bhutarasaparam. Nivasatu nityami amrita nindini vindan madhuri masaram. O Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. O Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande.
Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hare Niskuta Vrinda Vipineshe Rati Vardhana O Vrishabhanutadi Navasashilekhe Lalita Sakhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Jaya Jaya Karunam Kurumai Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Vanita Charite Karunam Kurumai Karuna Bharite Shirupa Sanatana Vanita Charite Nakara Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Shivamitam vina iti vigyaya radhe tam nayamam charanantike. Can it be louder? Kripayati adiradha padita sheshabadha kema paravashishtam pushti marya deyorme yadi vadati chakinshit Smeiraha sodita srir Dvijavara mani pantya Mukti shutya tadakim Shama sundara shikhanda shekhara Smeiraha samudali manohara Radhika rasikamam kripanidhe Swapriya charana kinkari karo Prananata Vrishabhanu Nandini Srimukhabjarasalol Satapada Radhika Padatale Kritastitim Tam Bhajami Rasikendra Shekhar Sambadaya Dashin Trinam Vivo Prartaye Brajamahendra Astu mohan tavati vallabha janma janmani mari swari priya. First I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Asto to the Sat Shishimad, Shilabhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Asto to the Sat Shishimad, Shilabhakti Vedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. To our grandfather gurus, can you turn the AC on in the back? To our grandfather gurus, Shishimad Bhakti Pragyan, Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and Shishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, to all of his divine associates, and to all the assembled devotees, and to the assembled devotees, Diksha Gurus, or my Shiksha Gurus, Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Madhav Maharaj, Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Pan Maharaj, and Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. Today is the glorious appearance day of Srivasa Thakur, who is one of the 5 members of Sri Panchatattva, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda. And then also, there's another verse about the Panchatattva. Panchatattva Makam Krishnan Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktyavataram Bhaktyakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So, first, because we're reading from Sri Chaitanya and his associates by Srila Bhakti Vallabh Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, who practically doesn't write anything without quoting the source of his information. So first he's quoting from Gora Ganadesha Deepika by Kavi Karnapur, who tells who's who in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes is who in Krishna pastimes. So here he's explaining that Srivasa Thakur is in Krishna Lila, Ram Lila, Vishnu Lila, Narayan Lila, is Narada Muni. And he plays a very important part in Krishna's Leela for so many incarnations, like Lord Ram, Lord Narayan. He goes around singing Shriman Narayan, Narayana Narayan, with his veena and his clappers, flying all over the universe without any spaceship. And he also flies to the spiritual world. And when he goes to Krishna Loka, Vrindavan, then when Mother Yasoda sees him, she takes baby Krishna, as parents sometimes do, and lie them in front of a great saint or in front of the deities. So Mother Yasoda does that with Krishna to make him bow down to Narada Muni. And Narada doesn't want to disturb Mother Yasoda, so he doesn't say anything about who he is in relation to who Krishna is. So also, as you know, Narada Muni has a friend named Parvat Muni, who sometimes flies in from the skyways along with Narada in order to bless somebody. So Srivasa Thakur's younger brother, because he also has 4 brothers, named Ramai, he in Krishna Lila is Parvat Muni. Not only that, but he has a wife named Malini. And Malini, yeah, here he is. Here's Parvat Muni following Sri Narada Muni, blessing the ex-hunter Magrari. So now Srivas also has a wife, and her name is Malini. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always considers Malini, he always calls her mother. And when Malini sees Nityananda Prabhu, she automatically, milk flows from her breasts and tears flow from her eyes. And she considers Nityananda Prabhu as her young baby son. And sometimes she actually does breastfeed him. He sits on her lap and she actually breastfeed him when he's 25 or 30 years old. So when, oh.
So who is Malini in Krishna Lila?
Oh yes, thank you. So in Krishna Lila, Malini is Krishna's wet nurse named Ambika. And Ambika, along with Purnamasi, along with Jashoda, along with Makara, who's Radharani's grandmother, they come and wake Krishna in the morning and offering him blessings. And some pastimes go on there. So regarding the translation of the verse, Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam, the translation is, I pay obeisances to the Supreme Lord Krishna, who has appeared in 5 aspects. As a devotee, that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself. As the expansion of devotee, that is Nityananda Prabhu. As the incarnation of a devotee, and that is Advaita Acharya, who's the incarnation of Krishna, Mahavishnu, who breathes in and out universes. And as a pure devotee, and as the devotional energy. So the devotional energy is, of course, Srimati Radhika, and she manifests in male form in Mahaprabhu's Leela as Gadadhar Prabhu, and also the pure devotee, that is Srivasa Thakur. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the paintings that I think I did under Prabhupada's direction. So Srivasa Pandit was one of those devotees, along with Gadadhar Prabhu and Mukunda Das Prabhu, who was really hoping that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would become a devotee, because up to the age of 24, up to the age of, that's when he took sannyas. But for years they knew him from his boyhood. They knew him only as Nimai Pandit. That is, he was a great scholar, a very high-ranked student in the school of, who was that? Gangadas Pandit. And he would always take pleasure in defeating all the devotees in logic, called Nyai. They think that logic and logical arguments is the topmost thing to do.
David, could you help me make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing? This one's Srivasa Pandita, correct?
Yes, the one in the saffron at the end.
Oh, the bald one?
Yeah,
That's Srivasa?
yeah. So I'm going to read a little bit about what Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj wrote about Srivasa Pandit's relationship or view of Nimai Pandit, that is Mahaprabhu. Yes.
Why is Srivasa Pandita wearing saffron in his head?
Well, why are you asking? Because he's a householder? Well, householders can shave their head too. But that's how sometimes you find pictures of the Panchatattva just standing in a row and not shaven. But this is how the original, where is it? No, we don't have that one here. But if you get the Panchatattva, that's up there on top of the doorway. Prabhupada originally showed me 2 Indian paintings. One was the Panchatattva standing like that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then the others lower and lower. And the other one is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan party at the courtyard of Srivasa Pandit. And you can see there that in both cases he is shaven, so we just followed Prabhupada's lead. So whenever Srivasa Pandit would see Nimai, they would always walk in another direction, so they wouldn't have to waste their time speaking with him, although they took great pleasure because he's so charming. Then, when Mahaprabhu played the role of becoming a devotee, then, seeing his ecstatic symptoms, everyone who saw him thought that he went crazy, because he was exhibiting the Ashtasattvika bhavs of trembling, hair standing on end, fainting, tears, pallor of the complexion, and so on. So Nimai asked Srivasa, everybody thinks I went crazy. They say my humors are disturbed. What do you think has happened to me? So Srivasa laughed and answered, if your humors have become disturbed, then I want some of that too. I see that powerful devotional feelings have entered your body. This means that Krishna has been merciful to you. So a relieved Mahaprabhu joyfully embraced him and said, "If you too had said that I had gone mad, I would have drowned myself in the Ganges." And he embraced Srivasa Thakur. Many things, wonderful things happened in Srivasa Pandit's house and in his courtyard, in front of his house. In his house, Mahaprabhu was there, and so many pure devotees were there. And in the middle of the kirtan, Srivasa Thakur's son died, and all the ladies began to weep. And Srivasa told them not to weep because it would disturb Mahaprabhu's ecstatic chanting and dancing. But he himself felt that something was wrong. So then when he finally heard from one of the devotees about the death of Srivasa Pandit's son, Mahaprabhu wept because Srivasa was such a loving devotee that he was acting neutral to the death of his son, just so Mahaprabhu's dancing wouldn't be disturbed. So he wept out of love. Here's an interesting one. When Mahaprabhu initiated the loud Sankirtan chanting, he initiated it in his own house and in the house of Srivasa. All the atheistic neighbors began to complain. And that they were losing sleep because of all the noise. So the king, and they even started false rumors that the king would come soon to punish all the devotees. So Srivasa Pandit became afraid, thinking that these stories were true. And so he began to worship Lord Nrsingadev for protection. So understanding that Srivasa was afraid, Mahaprabhu came to his house because he takes pleasure in relieving the anxiety of his devotees. So he kicked open the door and he said, "Who are you worshiping? Who are you meditating on? Behold, he whom you are meditating on and worshiping, I am standing right here in front of you. I will save the righteous and destroy the wicked. You should worry no longer." So saying, he sat down in the posture, in a heroic posture, and revealed the divine form of Lord Nrsingadev. Thanks. That's interesting. And he was holding the conch shell and the disc and the club and the lotus flower. When Srivasa Thakur saw this extraordinary manifestation, he was overcome with, like Prahlad, even though it's such a fearsome feature, Prahlad wasn't afraid at all. Similarly, Srivasa Pandit was just overcome with love. He also wasn't afraid. and he began to recite hymns of praise. And Mahaprabhu was pleased with him and told him to call his wife and family members to come and see his divine form. It doesn't seem so, because this is Lord Nrsingadev. Hmm? It's a little low.
More differently.
It hurts when I do that. Okay. Okay. So Mahaprabhu was pleased with his recital of the hymns of praise. And that's when he told him to call his wife so that they can also see this form. And he gave his prasadam. Seems that that's when he gave his prasadam to Narayani. Who's Narayani? The niece of Srivasa Pandit. And the mother of Vrindavan Thakur, the author of Chaitanya Bhagavat. She was the mouthpiece of all the devotees assembly. You know, that's a good question. One way she was the mouthpiece was through her son. Maybe we'll find somewhere where she also preached. But I could ask Maharaj today. So he gave his prasad to Narayani and showed his mercy to her by making her utter, she was just little, the holy names. And then there was also, when Srivasa and his family moved to Kamara Hut, he wasn't working at all. He wasn't interested in working, even though he was a householder. And so all he did was chant in Sankirtan. And Mahaprabhu came to his house and said, why don't you do some work? Because he didn't have any air conditioner, because he had holes in his roof and he had lots of air. And he never had any rats in his house because he never had any food. So Mahaprabhu said, so do something. So he said, well, if I have to fast the first day, then I'll clap. And if I have to fast the second day, and the third day, and if I have to fast after that, I'll just jump in the Ganges. So Mahaprabhu was so pleased with him. He said that the goddess of fortune herself, Lakshmi, may have to beg, which is an impossibility, but you will never have to beg. I take care of all my devotees and nourish them. Then, of course, you all know the incident with the Qazi. The Qazi sent his men because of the complaints of the Muslims that the kirtan was going on all night in Srivasa Thakur's house. So they came and broke a madranga. And when Mahaprabhu heard this, he became furious and called for 100,000 kirtaniyas to come with torches, and Nityananda was a head dancer, and Srivasa Thakur was one of the head singers. And they went to the Qazi's house and started breaking down everything outside of his house. And the Qazi was afraid to come out. And Mahaprabhu sent a message Tell them to come out. We're relatives. Of course, they're relatives because Kamsa became Srivas, and Kamsa is Krishna's uncle. And this is the pastime of the Kazi speaking with Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu convinced him that his own scripture, the Quran, never allows meat eating. And by all of his talks, the Kazi became a devotee, and he made a vow that never again, I'm making a declaration, that never again will anyone in my dynasty cause any disturbance to the Harinam party. Now we see in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam something very astonishing. We see the reactions that a sinful person has to suffer for various types of sins. Haridas Prabhu, are you ready for the 5th canto? Yeah. So there's 2 pages. And you can see that, you can see that things are broken outside of the Kazi's house. So the sins, like if someone has illicit sex, then he has to be, not just illicit sex, but especially if a brahmana has illicit sex, then he has to, so he's going to point. He has to be forced by the Yamadutas to embrace a molten hot woman while at the same time being whipped by the constables of Yamaraj. And if he eats meat, then he has to be boiled in oil. Particularly. And there's and if he drinks liquor, then the Yamadutas pour hot molten iron down his throat. But he can't die because he has a special kind of subtle body. It's not like the mind, it's another kind. So he gets a body that doesn't die, but just feels pain. And if somebody is very greedy and just likes to enjoy his rings and his wealth, then what happens to him, Haridas? Oh my goodness. So they have these 2 wheels. Oh no, that's his stitching. Oh right. So he gets stitched. He has to lie down, and they stitch him length and breadth, like he was a thread, a cloth. But on the next page, it says that if he tries to stop the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my goodness, what happens to him? So there's these 2 wheels, and they're going like that, these giant wheels, and they put him in between the wheels and make the wheels go, and he has to get crushed and becomes like liquid. 5th canto. What does it say, Haridas? He said, does it actually say the Sankirtan movement?
In his next life, a sinful king or government representative who punishes an innocent person or inflicts corporal punishment upon a brahmana is taken by the Yamadutas to a hell known as Shukhara Mukha, where the most powerful assistants of Yamaraj crush him exactly as one crushes sugarcane to squeeze out juice. This
So what does it say he does?
who punishes an innocent person or inflicts corporal punishment upon a brahmana.
Brahmana. Of course, there's more in the text, but this is just for the, so we have the picture. All right. Why did I bring that up? All right, Chankazi. So he made a vow, none of my descendants, none of my present ministers and none of my descendants will ever stop the Kirtan movement again. Because what happened to him? Yeah, already, like the next day, he didn't become like sugar cane juice, but he showed Mahaprabhu his chest. And he said, that night, a lion jumped on my chest and scratched my chest. You can see his marks. And he said, yeah. He said, now this time I'm going to let you go, but if this happens again, then I'll kill you. And his ministers who were doing the evil act, they couldn't stop chanting Hare Krishna. And they went to the Kazi and complained that they couldn't. And they complained that they couldn't stop chanting and how their beards were burnt. So yeah, all these bad things happen. So once Mahaprabhu told Srivasa Pandit, I want to perform Vyasa Puja, to worship Vyasadev. And Srivas Thakur told him, yes, you can do it in my house because I have the book that has all the mantras for worshipping. And so the next day, everybody came over to Srivas's house, and Nityananda was there, and Srivas Pandit said, okay, Sripad, they called Nityananda Sripad. Okay, Sripad, you can begin, because they had some representative of Vyasadev, like swastika and that pot. So, go ahead, you can start the Vyasa Puja. Kijai. Are you leaving? Or are you just getting water? Okay. So Nityananda Prabhu kept saying, uh-huh, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, huh. But he never did it. So Srivas Thakur said, well, come on, it's time to do it. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So then Lord Chaitanya purposely came late, and that's when Nityananda Prabhu offered Vyas Puja to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the garland and the worship, knowing him to be the Vyas of Vyasas. Okay, so they don't seem to have the pastime here of the hair panchami. Can you get the hair panchami? It's in the Arjuna Rath Yatra, because as mentioned earlier, Srivasa Pandit, he is Narada Muni. And mostly, Narada Muni is a worshipper of the Lord in his opulent feature, like Dwarka. So, during the Ratha Yatra festival, 5 days into the Ratha Yatra festival, they wanted to do a drama that would please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they sat him down with his associates and they put on this drama. And the drama was that this drama was performed by all men. There were no ladies in it, but the men were dressed up like ladies, wearing all the jewelry and the saris. And Lakshmi was carried in a palanquin by her devotees. Thanks. By her devotees. And then she was carried from the Lord Jagannath's temple, Nilachala, to the Gundicha temple, because Jagannath was missing for 5 days already, and he didn't come back. This is Jagannath with the big eyes. So she went there, and she called for all the associates of Lord Jagannath, and her associates began to beat them, but not really beat them, just like with some soft cloth, they beat them. And she said, "You didn't bring back my husband on time, so you have to come back right away with him, and I'm imposing a fine on you." So this is the drama, and Mahaprabhu is laughing. So then, Srivasa Pandit, he played the representative of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who is the supposed to be like the combined form of all of Krishna and Dwarka's 16,000 queens. And Ramananda Rai was the representative of the gopis in Vrindavan. Do you have that one? Of that? Somewhere we have the beating. If you look in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that when Lakshmi arrests the servants of Majalila, yes, the servants of Lord Jagannath. Actually, Krishna is more attracted to Vrindavan than he is to Dwarka. I'm trying to find now. Okay. During the Hare Panchami festival, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, and then there's a few verses, pointing out the neighboring gardens, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "All these gardens exactly resemble Vrindavan. Therefore, Lord Jagannath is very eager to see them again." Thank you. So some devotees think that it's not that Navadvip is Vrindavan, or he could be Vrindavan, Navadvip, but Jagannath Puri is also Vrindavan. So Gurudev spoke quite extensively about how Jagannath Puri is not Vrindavan. But we see here, pointing out the neighboring gardens, Mahaprabhu said, all these gardens exactly resemble Vrindavan because it's the path from the Nilachala temple, Jagannath's temple, to Gundicha, where he stayed for 10 days, which represents Vrindavan. But the argument here is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said it exactly resembles Vrindavan. He didn't say it is Vrindavan. Just like the 12 forests of Vrindavan are present in various places in Navadvip, but it never says that about Jagannath Puri. The ocean in Puri reminded Mahaprabhu of the Jamuna, and so he jumped in, but it's not that it was the Jamuna. Mahaprabhu continued. Externally, Jagannath gives the excuse that he wants to participate in the Rath Yatra festival, but actually he wants to leave Jagannath Puri and go to Sundarachala, the Gundicha temple, which is a replica of Vrindavan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Swarup Damodar, if Krishna is going to Sundarachala to play, why doesn't he take Lakshmi? Because she can't enter Vrindavan, even though she did so many austerities. I want to get to the Srivas part, because it was a debate between Srivas Pandit and Swarup Damodar. But where is it? When is he going to come in? Ah, okay. At this time, Srivas Thakur smiled and told Swarup Damodar, my dear sir, please hear. Now just see how opulent my goddess of fortune is. So far as Vrindavan's opulence goes, it consists of a few flowers and twigs, some minerals from the hills, a few peacock feathers. Did you show the picture, Haridas? Okay. Some minerals. Some minerals from the hills, a few peacock feathers, and a plant known as gunja. This is Srivas speaking. There's no golden crowns. There are only flutes made of dry bamboos and some peacock feathers. Krishna only wears a yellow cloth and some flower garlands. There's nothing of any value there. And Swarup Damodar retorted, my dear Srivas, please hear me with attention. You have forgotten the transcendental opulence of Vrindavan. One flower of Vrindavan can give millions of diamonds and other opulences. Those Krishna's associate don't want the diamonds. They only want to make garlands for decoration and put on their ankle belts to attract Krishna by being so charming. It's a long, long chapter. See, because at the end, Srivasa Thakur admits defeat and starts dancing, and he's slapping his armpits. So that means he's in the mood of a coward boy. Because even though Srivasa Pandit in that form is here a representative of Lakshmi, or all the queens in Dwarka, ultimately, who is he? Ultimately, he's Madhu Mangal. And ultimately, Haribol, ultimately, Narada Muni is Madhu Mangal. Everything, come in. Everything and everyone in Vrindavan is the source. Would you like to come in and sit down? Are you in a hurry? Yes. It should have the palanquin of Lakshmi, and she's being carried by her associates. There may also be the arrest of Jagannath's servants. It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pastime of Hare Panchami is there. So it would be in the same volume. Hmm. Okay, so where are we? You see, Prabhupada said, if I were to ask you what I said 3 minutes ago, you'd have to dredge your memory. Madhu Mangal, thanks. But I just want to come to this point for a moment. Because we change our body at every moment. So as we change our body, then the ultimate change is at death, when we completely forget our last body. But otherwise, because our body constantly changes, we constantly forget. So everything has its source in Vrindavan. Everything, every place, every person. You found it? Okay. For example, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. Then his plenary portion is Krishna in Mathura. The expansion of that is Krishna in Dwarka. And his expansion of that is Krishna in Vaikuntha. Or Ramchandra in Ayodhya. So similarly, Radharani, her expansions are, her mirror reflections are the queens. Her expansions are the gopis. Her partial expansion is Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. So same thing. And then Lord Nrsingadev, Lord Varaha, they're all incarnations of Krishna from Vrindavan. Krishna's, all the names of the different incarnations are names of Krishna, but he lent or gave a portion of the power of that particular name and that particular form to his various expansions. No. Wait, maybe it is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she's there on her palanquin, and there's Jagannath's. And these ladies are all men, and they're making Jagannath's servants in Gundicha surrender to the goddess of fortune. Good. So similarly, Madhu Mangal is the original form of Narada serving the different incarnations, and Srivas, all starting from Madhu Mangal. So when Srivas Thakur heard these topics from Sarup Damodar about the opulence of Vrindavan, he began to laugh very loudly. Hee hee, ho ho. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was deeply absorbed in the moods of the festival, and he watched silently as Srivas Pandit continued to laugh and tell Sarup Damodar, "You don't know anything. Don't you see the opulence of my worshipable goddess, Lakshmi? She's decorated with golden ornaments, but in Vrindavan there's nothing. The gopis make some garlands, but only from flowers. There's no golden palanquin there. It's only bullock carts made of wood and bamboo." But later on, when he laughed and, what do you call it? Flapped his, what did you say? Flapped his armpits and slapped his armpits. Swarup Damodar said to Srivas, "Don't you remember that the trees of Vrindavan are kalpa vriksha trees or desire trees? Whatever you want, you can get it. They can give millions, the trees can give millions of tons of gold, but nobody's interested. The gopis have no personal desires. They simply decorate their hair with the flowers from those trees. The ankle bells of the gopis are made of chintamani, which means anything that you chinta or desire, you get." Then he quoted the Brahma Samhita. "In the spiritual world, all the female lovers, or the gopis, are actually goddesses of fortune, and the male lover is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So now Srivas Thakur heard this, and his mood changed, and he entered into the mood of Madhu Mangal, the very funny cowherd boyfriend of Krishna. And then he began to dance, remembering the glories of Braj. And so Gurudev is saying, you can read this discussion between Srivas Pandit and Sarup Damodar in its entirety, because this is just a drop, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 14. The first printing wasn't a very good with the binding. And are there any questions? Oh, so I just want to mention, I forgot that with the dead son, the son who died during the kirtan, Mahaprabhu came after this. He went, he started crying because of Srivasa's love. And he went inside the house and sat down beside the child's dead body. And he brought him back to life. And he asked, "Child, why do you want to leave the house of such a great devotee as Srivas?" So the dead child answered, he's not dead anymore, the few days that I was to spend with Srivas in Srivas's house are over. and now I'm following your wishes and going elsewhere. I cannot go against your wishes. Please be merciful to me, that I never forget your lotus feet wherever I go. And when Srivasa's family heard the child speak such wisdom, they immediately forgot their distress and stopped mourning. Mahaprabhu said to Srivas, "From this day on, Nityananda and I will be your sons, and we will never leave you." So one time when Gurudev was in Badger, he said that the son said, "I'm in a better place now. Why should I want to come back?" And Gurudev explained that the better place was Krishna Lila. So that's why he was happy where he went. Okay, any questions, comments?
Hello. I think it was you were referring to Krishna when you said there was a distinction between a preference of Vrindavan and Dwarka. Why is that?
Why is there a distinction between them?
Is there like a different mood or?
Well, as I was mentioning earlier, everything is full and complete and has its origin in Vrindavan. And everything, other places and people that come from Vrindavan are parts of the original. So, you were asking about Dwarka? That's where Krishna's in his very opulent feature. Sometimes he manifests 4 arms. He's married to 16,108 queens. He lives with them simultaneously in their different palaces, and they all think he's henpecked. So that is a portion of Vrindavan. You might think, well, it's much more opulent than Vrindavan. Krishna's living in so many palaces. And there in Vrindavan, he stays with the gopis in flower kunjas, flower groves, just flowers. So, but the thing is, can anybody give him the analogy with the salt and the sugar?
So I was actually just hearing this from Shriman Atul Krishna Prabhu on Monday. So our Sridhar Gurudev describes how so let's say you have 1 cup of salt and 1 cup of sugar. And salt is opulence, sugar is sweetness. You're going to mostly taste salt when you taste the salt and the sugar. You have it like all combined together. And so that's like Dwarka. There's a lot of salt and a lot of opulence. There's actually, I think, even less sugar in Dwarka. Then if you were to say, now you would have 2 cups of salt, so double the amounts of opulence, but 100 cups of sugar and mixed all together, you wouldn't taste the salt at all, even though you have double the opulence. And that's how Vrindavan is. There's just so much sweetness that even though there's more opulence than the most opulent, you wouldn't even taste the opulence because you'd be so overwhelmed by the sweetness.
Good, thank you. Any other question? Yes, Tanvi.
I have an appointment with Madhavi, so I just
Oh,
stopped by
okay.
to say hello to
Hello.
you guys, because she's on the way because of the bridge.
Great, okay, go.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
me. Hari bol, everybody.
Any last? Okay, go Premanandi, Hari Hari. Shri Shivas Thakur ki jai. Narada Muni ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Even his hands play mridanga. Panchakopatribhyascha Kripat Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sagade Dharma Jay Jivayati Lobamoya Sadurmati Take Jatao Kutina Samsade Krishna Bodha Dwayamoy Kodi Badi Jiva Joy Swaprashadana Dilobai Sayanam Ritapal Hare Krishna Gunagal Premeda Ko Chaitanya Nitai Ekvada Prem Bade Dakode Dalitai Chaitanya Bodhi Premi Bodhi Dak Dial Nitai Dial Gore Dial Nitai Dial Gore Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Jai Shri Shri Guru Garangan Darva Giri Hari Shri Radhavana Vabhyadi Jeev Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Srila Maharaj Ki Jai Param Gurudev Ki Jai Param Gurudev Ki Jai Paramesti Gurudev Ki Jai Shri Bhagavad Mahaprasad Seva Ki Jai